He's purple. Hey guys, this is Awesome John 22 coming at you with another review for Megatron Week-ish. Yeah, cheer, cheer. Okay, so today we are taking a look at probably one of the least liked versions of Megatron ever made. And in fact, just talking about this guy is making me a little tongue-tied because I really don't know what to think of this guy. I personally like it. I'm going to come right out and say it just right now. I personally like it, but I totally get why people don't. He's purple. He's a purple Megatron. And a purple Megatron who's supposed to be G1 Megatron. And I totally get it. He looks like a toy. He doesn't look like a Decepticon leader. I think it kind of works, though. I think there's just something about this toy that I really enjoy. And now, the reason he is in robot mode right now and not his alt mode is because I really want to show off a little bit of how interesting the transformation to his alt mode is. And so and I'm not looking forward to this guy because I hate transforming this guy to alt mode, but we are going to take a look at his transformation to alt mode right now. And we are going to start out with his head. We're just going to take his head and we are going to open up his chest and fold his head into his chest. Pretty simple. Next, we are going to come here to his cannon arm, and we are going to detach the cannon and rotate it down. This allows us to open this panel and rotate his fist into his arm. Pretty simple as well. Over here, we are going to open up this panel and fold his other fist in. Still pretty simple, still pretty straightforward, right guys? Right. Now we're going to take these. We're going to take this piece and fold it up. We are going to take the backpack here and unpeg it completely. This allows us to come back around to the front, separate this arm from the torso, and then take the torso and lift it up. At which point it is rotated around and then just kind of moved off to the side. Now we straighten out his legs, which I have a lot to say about, and we will get to that later. And then we are going to take these panels on his legs, lower them down, come underneath, fold up his heels, and then fold up his toes. And you may be kind of seeing here why I don't like transforming this guy to his alt mode, because this is a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, coming over here, we are going to take this piece, rotate it around completely, and then we are going to straighten out his arm like so and just fold it down, and that's it for now. Next, we're going to come here to this leg and we are going to fold it up, and we're going to get it, and I'm going to have to reposition this a lot, I promise you. We are going to get it here, like so, just like that. Now we're going to take his other leg and just kind of bring it up out of the way, like so. Coming around to his back, we're going to fold this around like so, and then bring his trigger down into position here, which will allow us, if you look here, there's a groove, and there is this bit here on his knee. We can hook, and it's hard because of the ratchets, that little bit into the groove on his trigger, and now you can see we are finally getting something that kind of vaguely sort of resembles a gun. Now we're going to bring this bit down here, rotate the whole thing around, and we're going to fold this down so that this round peg underneath his sight lines up with this round hole on top of what is now the gun. And it just sits there. And that is it for now. Finally, we rotate this whole thing around, come here, and fold out these clips on each side as these are integral to the transformation of the figure. And now we fold these sides up. And as you can see, not only do we have now these bits here, which, if I can show this on camera, will peg into these holes on the site and hold it in place. We also have some strategically placed gaps here and here, where these clips will actually fit through the figure all the way. And once you get everything lined up properly, which does take a little bit of fiddling, it all comes together to make a gun. And frankly, I hate that transformation. I hate it. I hate everything about it. Though, you gotta admit, the gun it creates does look pretty good. And this is actually based on an existing Nerf gun. But it's purple. It's still purple. And yet, I still think it kind of works. And I don't understand why. I can't tell you why I think it kind of works. But there it is. And this was the first attempt in a long time to make a full-scale Megatron toy that was a gun. And it hasn't really been repeated since then. And to be perfectly honest, even though I don't really get into buying the hanky toys over the classic toys, the hanky version is better. Because it is painted to look like an actual gun. It is painted in the original Megatron colors. And if you can get your hands on that one, buy it over this one. It is the superior version of the toy. Some of the features of his gun are kind of interesting. If I can show it off, and it looks like I'm going to be able to, surprisingly, there is actually a sight in there with a crosshair, but it is kind of difficult to see through the other end. But still, it's a nice little touch. And he does have a working trigger, though as you can see from me holding it here, it's a little too small for the hand of an adult. It really is made for kids. And now, because I showed you the reverse transformation, the reverse transformation is far harder than the transformation to robot mode, I am going to quickly switch him back to robot mode through the power of jump cuts, jump cuts, jump cuts. And here's Megatron back in his robot mode. And like I said before, I actually do like this robot mode, surprisingly. Maybe it's just that I like bright colors. Maybe it's just that purple is one of my favorite colors. Maybe I just like the stark contrast between the purple and the white. But I think it really works. The only thing I question about the design of this figure overall, not just the robot mode, not just the alt mode, is the green plastic. Why green plastic? Why not make it, I don't know, red or even just clear? I just don't get it. It doesn't scream Megatron to me. It actually screams more like one of the Japanese series versions of Galvatron. It reminds me a lot of the, what was it, Robots in Disguise Galvatron. How it had the purple and the brighter colors. And doesn't really scream Megatron to me. The purple kind of does, because I did watch R.I.D. I did watch a couple of those other Japanese series, and you had some purples on Megatrons before. So it kind of works for Megatron, but the green I don't get, and I don't like the fact, though I do find the transformation clever, I don't like the fact that he is essentially a shell former. That kind of bothers me. I know it bothers a lot of people, and in fact the back wings, though they don't bother me as much as they do bother some people, they still do bother me, because not only do we get the ugly side with the clear plastic facing forward, rather than this kind of interesting back part, it's also almost impossible to get these off without damaging the figure, as they are on pins. They don't just snap on there. And it's a little bit annoying. It's very annoying, actually. Like I said, I find it less annoying than some people do, but I can totally understand why people wouldn't like this figure just because of the back wings. And while I am very happy to have found this figure, and I am very happy to have it in my collection, if I ever do get a chance to replace it with the Henke version, I almost definitely will. And while I would recommend this figure to you, it clearly does not win Megatron Week. It just doesn't. Sorry guys, anyone who wanted it to. I don't think anybody actually did, but, you know, if there was somebody, you know, sorry about that. Showing off the features of this robot mode, it is an early classics figure, so the articulation isn't quite what you would expect nowadays. And in fact, the back wings get in the way of articulation sometimes. As you can see right there, to bring his arm all the way down with the cannon attached like so, without rotating it so that it's in the incorrect position, I actually had to move the back wing out of the way, which is okay. I mean, they look pretty cool and dynamic back like that anyway. But he does have a great shoulder rotation that's all ratcheted. He has a rotation here in the bicep, and he has a theoretical 60-degree rotation, though again the back wings kind of get in the way. His head is on a great ball joint. It looks up and down, and you saw in my intro that he has fantastic light piping. In the feet and the legs, he has a rotation just above the knee and a full bend at the knee, and he has full hip articulation on a double ratcheted swivel. The only issue I have with the figure is the feet. They are flat and do not swivel in and out at all, but you can get some extra balance by adjusting the position of his toes and his heels, which are relatively stiff and can support the weight of the figure pretty well, and you can get him into some pretty good poses that way. And so I really appreciate it. And overall, I do love the concept of this guy. I've always been a fan of Nerf guns. Always been a fan of them since I was a little kid, and I've always been a fan of Transformers, and I like seeing the two merge together. And I like the idea of Megatron disguising himself on Earth as something more mundane than an actual gun. I think that's a very cool idea, though I don't think Megatron would ever be as deceptive as that. Despite the fact that he is the leader of the Decepticons, he doesn't really seem to care much about hiding his presence. Overall, though, guys, this is a decent enough Megatron. If you haven't picked it up, if you don't have a version of it, look into it at the very least. It's not too easy to find anymore, and in fact, I'm hoping that with this 30th anniversary thing, this 30 for 30 that they've announced recently, we might actually get a reissue of this guy in more realistic colors, more like the Henkei version. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. So if you are interested in this mold, wait for that, certainly. There's also a couple third-party alternatives to this guy that you can pick up, and they fit in your Classics collection just as well, if not better. So guys, really, it's up to you whether or not you want to invest in this guy. I clearly did. I do like him, but I can't solidly recommend him, so it comes down to what you want to do. And guys, that's pretty much it for Megatron Week. There's not a whole lot more. I am going to go back through my collection again, make sure I haven't missed any Megatrons, because it's very likely that I have, and I want to be sure. But if I haven't, we only have one more Megatron to go, and that means that next video, we are going to take a look at the winner of the coveted position of Best Megatron amongst the Megatrons in my collection. It's going to be big. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. And frankly, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. For a real quick size comparison, here we have Blitzwing, a modern Voyager class toy next to Megatron. And as you can see, Blitzwing is actually quite a bit taller than Megatron. We also have Springer here, who is also taller than Megatron. And in an age where it seems like deluxe class toys are actually getting consistently smaller, it's nice to see that these Voyager class are actually getting a bit bigger, even though I do find it interesting that Blitzwing is taller than Megatron, though I guess it would make sense because Blitzwing was one of the larger Decepticons, so it doesn't really turn me off to the figure or anything. And in fact, I think they're in a pretty good scale overall, and they're both purple. Megatron's purple. So guys, please remember to like and subscribe and even favorite the video if you're so inclined, and feel free to shoot me a review request. I will include my collections video in the description below to give you some ideas. This has been Awesome John 22, and I will talk to you guys later in the conclusion of Megatron Week. I really need comedy writers.